What's going on, guys? This is Vince with vshred.com, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a quick Q&A answering 4 very popular questions when it comes to putting on mass. I'm going to be talking about best practices to put on muscle, to put on size, maybe how to do it without putting on body fat. I titled the video around the best exercise to put on mass, and I'm going to be answering that as well. So if you are having trouble with putting on size, you're trying to bulk up but you can't seem to figure it out, today this video is going to help you. So obviously I'm by a pool table. I'm just going to be playing a little bit of pool while I answer these questions, just so that you guys got something to look at. But I will say the questions that I'm going to be talking about today are going to be all related towards building muscle and putting on size. But it doesn't matter if you're confused about these 4 things and I answered them perfectly for you. If you don't have the right kind of training, all over training, that means the right kind of regimen throughout the week and the right amount of rest days, and then also the nutrition to match that, then you're not really ever gonna be able to put on muscle. You can go to the gym and lift perfectly, but if your nutrition's not in place, it doesn't matter. You can eat a bunch of food, but if you're not training properly, then it doesn't matter. So if you wanna learn the 3 best tips on how to figure out what type of diet is best and training is best, click the link below. I got a free body type quiz that tells you exactly what to do. Also make sure you subscribe to the channel. Join the VShred fam here on YouTube, and I'm gonna get into the first question, which is, what's the easiest way to gain weight? And this one is going to be, I guess I'll be stripes. I'll just call it. So easiest way to gain weight is going, not starting hot. So easiest way to gain weight is going to be eating food, because as I just mentioned, there's a couple different things that have to be in place if you're trying to put on size, if you're trying to put on mass or build muscle. But it does not matter what you do if you're not eating in a caloric surplus, meaning your body burns a certain number of calories every single day. If you're not eating more calories than what your body burns, that was bad, then you're not gonna be able to put on weight. So you want to make sure that you're in a caloric surplus. You want to make sure that you are eating food every single day, and as a result you are just simply going to be putting on weight. So that's going to be the easiest way. And then also, I mean, as far as your training goes, just make sure you're hitting compound movements and focusing on not only strength but also on hypertrophy. That way you're actually putting on size as well as getting stronger, and that's going to help you put on size. Which exercise is the best for gaining weight? And this one, I mean, you could say a couple different things here. In my opinion, I believe that this is going to be the deadlift, because the deadlift is an exercise that works more muscles in your body than any other exercise. I mean, there's a bunch of different awesome compound movements that you should focus on when you are training, but the best exercise of those is going to be the deadlift, because you're working your shoulders, you're working your core, you're working your legs, you're working just everywhere on your body just to be able to pick up this weight and put it back down. And you're going to be able to lift a lot heavier than you can on, let's say, a squat. So by lifting more weight, you're going to be allowing your body to adapt to lifting more weight. So best exercise, I would say deadlift. All right, next question. How can I put on mass without looking chubby? And this is a good question, because I actually get questions a lot about bulking. And obviously when you're trying to bulk, one of the things that can happen when you're trying to put on size is you put on body fat. Now, one way to avoid putting on a lot of body fat when you are going into a bulk is to go into what I call a clean bulk. And so that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be changing anything up with your training, but you are going to be a lot more precise with your diet, because, let me sync this real quick. All right, or not. Because if you're eating in a, like I said, you got to eat in a surplus to be putting on weight. To bulk, if you're trying to put on size, you got to be eating more food than your body burns, eating more calories than your body burns. And so if you're bulking and you find yourself putting on a little bit of body fat, or just more fat than you wish you were, you need to make sure that you are dropping your calories a little bit. Now here's a sexy little shot that I'm going to sync for you guys. So let's say let's say you're burning, or let's say you're eating 3,100 calories a day. Okay, that's a good number to, I guess, aim for, depending on who you are. But then as you do that, let's say you do it for 2 weeks. And as a result, you're starting to see a little bit of body fat gaining in your lower belly, and you're not liking that. So what you're gonna do is you're just gonna drop your calories a little bit. And as a result, dropping your calories a little bit, you're not going to be putting on as much size as fast. Therefore, you're going to give yourself a better chance at putting on clean muscle, because it's very hard to put on clean muscle fast. It's very easy to put on fat fast. And so if you're in a slight caloric surplus rather than this massive caloric surplus, then you're going to give yourself a better chance, if your training is right, to put on pure muscle. This is what I call the clean bulk, which is lifting really hard, pushing yourself really hard, doing things that your body's not used to, so that your body has to adapt to that and build muscle and get stronger and get bigger. But then with your diet, making sure you're not going too high with your calories and keeping it in a surplus for sure, but just a slight surplus. And as you gain a little bit of weight, bump that surplus up a little bit, or not bump the surplus up, raise your calories, because your body's gonna require more calories. So how to avoid getting chubby when you're bulking? Don't eat as many calories. That's simple. All right, so last question. What's the best way to break through a lifting plateau? And this doesn't necessarily mean that you are trying to bulk. This could mean that you're trying to get shredded, but if you're trying to get shredded, obviously you gotta have your diet in place. But I mean, I've made videos about lifting plateaus before, because I don't think there is a best way to break a lifting plateau, because there are so many, there we go. Oh, because there's so many different ways to break a lifting plateau. One, you can change up your exercises. That's probably gonna be the first and foremost, change your exercises. If you've been doing the same exercises for too long, if you've been doing the same exercises for 2 months, maybe even longer than 2 months, maybe even way longer than 2 months, you probably need to change them, because your body's getting used to these exercises that you're doing. And as a result, God, you're not gonna be lifting, you're not gonna be building any muscle. You're not gonna break through any plateau doing the same thing that you've been doing. Now, if you haven't been doing the same exercises for very long, one thing you can do is bump up the weight and change the rep range as a result, because if you go heavier, obviously your rep range is gonna be a little bit lower. If you go lighter, which is something that you can always also do, your rep range is obviously going to be higher. And so just by putting your muscles under a different type of stress that they're not really used to, that you haven't been doing, you're going to give yourself a better chance at more muscle growth, because you're going to be shocking your muscle fibers and tearing them in a different way than what they're used to, putting them under a different stress than what they're used to. Another thing you could do is change up your rest time, meaning in between sets. If you're on the bench press and normally you rest for, let's say, a minute, go down to 40 seconds. And as a result, you might need to go a little bit lighter, but that's just name of the game. Or you can make your rest time a little bit longer, and therefore you can go a little bit heavier. So, I mean, it's all gonna come down, all of these things are gonna change as you change your weight. If you go heavier, obviously, whoo, what a sexy little shot. If you change your weight, obviously a bunch of things are gonna change. If you go heavier, your reps are gonna go down, your rest time should be a little bit longer so that you are recovered for that heavier weight. Same thing the other way, if your rest is longer, your reps are gonna be, or if your rest is lower, your reps are gonna be higher and your weight is going to be lower. Not gonna try to confuse myself here. So best way to break a lifting plateau is a bunch of different ways. You can try any of those 3 right there, and I guarantee that they'll get you a little bit more sore the next day, and especially 2 days after, than what you're probably used to if you've been doing the same thing for a while. So try that out. And let me know if you guys have any other questions for Q&As in the future. I like doing these Q&As because I like knowing that I'm answering exactly what you guys have asked me. So if you have any other questions, leave them down in the comment section, and also make sure you're subscribing to the channel. That way you don't miss out on any future videos. So thanks for watching.